Well, first, let me talk a little bit about the technology that you just mentioned. I mean, the board listened to Richard Susskind last March. Richard and his son wrote a book which I've read called The Future of Professions. And I agree with their thesis, and that is over the next 10, 15, 20 years, the work of all expert professionals is going to change. And it's going to change for two reasons. One, the technology is going to continue to improve and not only solve routine problems, but be able to solve complex problems as well. But also consumers are pushing hard to attain the expertise in an easier fashion and in a cheaper fashion. So does this mean that there's going to be less of a need for actuaries in the future? Well, not necessarily. I think that actuaries can embrace new technology like artificial intelligence, and then apply our knowledges of the business, our knowledge of behavioral economics, and we can prepare our companies to compete in the future. And there's going to be hundreds of these new companies available. It may mean that we're going to have to learn some new things, such as programming. It also means that we're going to have to take more of a risk in the type of jobs that we sign up for, and also a risk in being able to make decisions on only an 80-20 basis. And this is how the insurtech companies operate. Make a quick decision and then to revise things as they see them developed. But the question was, what other threats are there in the horizon? And then let me mention the three of them. One is that I see more work being transferred to countries, being done by actuaries, and those actuaries have no relationship with the Society of Actuaries. A second area of possible issue is that a major risk program, such as a long-term care company, a public pension plan, or the Medicare Trust Fund, goes broke, and actuaries are associated with that failure. And a third threat is always government regulation. I mean, some of us work in businesses where regulations change every year. But I'm thinking about a major change. This is a change to the healthcare system in the United States. Now, I think that there's plenty of opportunities for actuaries, even if that were the change, and that actuaries ought to be consulted on making that change. But we've seen that movie before, and it doesn't always work out. I encourage anyone listening to this videotape to review my detailed biography and questionnaire. Quite frankly, I think that my executive experience, my long volunteer history, and my vision make me the ideal candidate for President-Elect. I've held senior executive positions in 4 companies, 2 of them national companies, the Prudential Insurance Company and Humana Insurance and Care Management Company. I've been a longtime volunteer leader in actuarial and public education. Indeed, almost every single advancement and improvement in actuarial education since 1980, I've been involved or a leader. From introducing calculators and contingencies in the 1980s to the fellowship admissions course and finance track in the 90s to the VEE and FSA modules we have today. Another area is that I've been an active in research and in healthcare policy. I've not only published my own research, but I have encouraged others, such as when I helped create, and it was the first chair of the Research Papers Committee for fellowship credit. And currently, I serve on the steering committee to promote research on how healthcare companies can reduce medical costs in the United States. And the fourth area that I've been involved is on many committees for the Society of Actuaries and the Academy. Plus being a recent member of the SOA board, I'm currently in my 4th year on the Actuarial Foundation board and serving on non-actuarial boards, such as with the Congressional Budget Office and twice running and being elected to my school board in New Jersey. So how will all this experience manifest itself as I assume the role of SOA leadership? Well, first, I have a lot of experience in strategic planning and making difficult decisions in both for personnel and in the business world. At the same time, I have a long track record of promoting development of young actuaries and people who work with me. Also, as a successful chair and a business executive, I had to work with diverse groups of professionals and build trusting relationships with employees and volunteers alike. Let me just give you one example. When I assumed the role as chief actuary at Humana, there had not been a chief actuary for 18 months. And the actuaries all reported in the business units to leaders who were non-actuaries. And it took me about 2 years to build up a collaborative and trusting relationship, not only with the actuaries, but their bosses, so that I could implement company-wide policies such as peer review of actuarial statements of opinion. Another key area for the president is as an ambassador or representative for the SOA. That's something I look forward to. I enjoy meeting new people and I like to travel. But I feel as if I've been an ambassador my whole career. In almost every position I've been in, from my first to the last, I've been the top actuary. And that's usually because I've been the only actuary. And I never reported to an actuary, except once when I was the CFO and my actuarial boss was the CEO. Yeah. And another example of being an ambassador is when I served the first 3 years on the Congressional Budget Office's Health Policy Committee. The rest of the committee members were all healthcare professors and public policy pundits. I was the only actuary and one of only 2 managed care members. A third important area for the president is to understand how the SOA runs. It's been less than a year since I served on the SOA board. There's still about 1/3 of the members are individuals that I have worked with if I am elected as president. I've served 3 years on the Finance Committee. I'm very knowledgeable in the SOA's budget and investment policies. I served 2 years on the Government and Policy Committee. So not only am I knowledgeable about all the other policies, but as the Governance Committee was instrumental in getting the SOA board to operate in a more efficient manner, to focus more on strategy, to look more to the future, and to open up the Leadership Committee to non-presidential officers. So and finally, I know the key staff of the SOA. I know how it operates. I know how to get things done. In summary, how will all this affect you? I think in 2 ways. One is I think you can be sure that I will be committed for the next 3 years to work for you and the SOA, and also to make a positive difference. I strongly believe in the concept of Kaizen, which is striving for continuous improvement. Second, I've learned that win-win solutions are best accomplished with a collegial and collaborative approach. And that will be my approach as president. But the world is changing very rapidly, and I am a proactive person, so I will not hesitate to lead the board in a different direction if the environment so dictates. As I said in my video message, my vision is that I want to see actuaries be ever more influential for their employers and in the public. And I believe that the actuaries can accomplish anything we put our minds to. I will work till that end, and I have the time and energy over the next 3 years to commit to you.